We have now entered a world, and I'm not sure when the date or when we arrived here, but we are here now in a world where you get to decide what is true. There's no, and that's objection. You get to have objectivity. You get to decide what is true. For instance, you could watch a video of a man who would be president, talks about how he grabs women by the peas and kisses them, and when you're a star, they'll let you do it, and you'll say he didn't mean that. You'll watch that same man send out racial tweet after racial tweet and be incendiary and say things like, oh, there were good people on both sides, and you will say he didn't mean that. We get to make up a truth. You will watch a man struggle to breathe and say 11 times he can't breathe. Then no one will be charged with that man's murder, and you will say that it didn't really happen. We get to decide what truth is. The same nation that's deciding what truth is and being fast and loose with it decided that a man who previously lived in the White House had to prove he was president, had to prove he was born here. Children get to believe the things they want. Children. And those things are called fairy tales. Right now, we live in a world where the president of the United States of America is an adulterer, is a racist, is a bigot, is someone who has assaulted women and been with those who assault women, whether it's people that he potentially chose for his cabinet or people that he associates with or people that he lauds. He does that. We also live in a world where we can watch men and women be murdered in front of our very eyes and say there's nothing to see here because we get to decide what truth is. We get to decide what it means. We get to decide how it impacts us. We live in a world right now where brown and black children are being put in cages under the auspices of immigration and protecting our borders because they don't belong here, because they're immigrants, because they're foreign. But we watch a million other people from other places who are not as dark. They get to inhabit the same land we do, with virtually not a word said. We watch men and women excuse things for expediency's sake. Now, the one thing I will say is that wrong is wrong and right is right. Just because it's white don't make it no different. We live in a world where now we're bending time and truth to our will. So listen, we don't need to go back in time. We don't need a ship that goes back in time. We have political parties for that. We have people that can say and do things in front of our very eyes, and instead of believing what we're seeing and hearing, we'll say that's fake news, or you put him in that position, or he didn't mean to say that. At the same time, we watch men and women be murdered in front of us, and there's nothing to see here. It used to be a time when a picture was 1,000 words, and those words were predicated on what we saw, not what we didn't. We get to make up stories and tell ourselves these stories over and over again, and they have become truth. And where there is absolutely no truth, how do we know where the line is? How can you have a society that prides itself on freedom and democracy when we have no concept of where the line is, where that is, what is right and what is wrong? We used to laud ourselves or talk about how we're a nation where you could be anything you wanted to be. That you can start here and go there in America because it's the land where you can become what you want. That should not apply to truth. What is wrong has always been wrong, whether it's people we like doing them or not. Whether it's people we respect doing them or not. Truth is truth. It's not subject to our laws. It's not subject to our rules. It's not subject to our perspective. And it's most certainly is not. It's not slave to the American perspective or way. We get to bend truth now. We get to decide that our eyes are lying, our intellects are lying, our hearts are lying, and pretty soon we won't understand anything. Let me ask you an honest question. If your child right now, the child you're grooming right now that you hope becomes a responsible adult, would you be proud if he acted like the people we see now? Would you be proud? Would you tell me how great the economy is and that's why he can do it? Or he appoints judges that you like and that's why he can do it? Or would you snatch his ass up and give him a lesson on how to act like a human being? We get to bend truth to our will, and we shouldn't be able to.